What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. We're going to talk some walk-off talk tonight and some of the struggles. So, let's go.
Oh my God!
I'm embarrassed!
He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time. Welcome in, everybody. This is A2D Wednesday nights, only on A2D Radio. Every Wednesday, we are brought to you by Phillies Sports Trips. And hey, Birds fans, Tom Arnone with some huge news. Phillies Sports Trips has released their Eagles schedule. Make sure you go see my friends from phillysportstrips.com and reserve your spot today. You'll get to watch a Birds game in a great city and hang with former Eagles like Hollis Thomas. Philly Sports Trips books at the best hotels and has the best birds available. You know you'll have a blast. Book now and tell them A2D sent you. As always, Ralphie D, Noah Eaton, Greg Milakovic. I'm Tom Arnone. No Frank Vespi tonight. No Ryan Broder tonight. No stomach bug Chrome tonight. But here we are. And the show must go on, and we got things to talk about. At the end of the show, Eagles Super Bowl favorites? No more dog mask. Let's go. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. Sixers news and rumors. Not a lot going on, but some interesting things today came out. We'll get into them later on in the show. Philly's got a big one coming up.
Big one. This is it.
This is it, Ralphie. We got a 4-game set in Atlanta, and they got to go down there and at least split it to feel good about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like anything more than a split is a home run right now. You can't lose 3 out of 4. We'll talk about the importance of that series. We'll talk, obviously, Phillies in our main topic, but in that topic as well. We'll also get in what's wrong with the Phillies. Why have they been so inconsistent? When is the light going to turn on? We'll get into all that in our second segment. But our main topic at hand, which was switched last minute because Trea Turner delivered. So our main topic at hand is Turner delivered. The Phillies with a gigantic walk-off. And ties into our poll question brought to you by our good friends over at Baggio's Bread. They're located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. They're the home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs. Mention A2D Radio. You get 10% off your in-store purchase. Baggio's Bread, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Our poll for tonight. Trea Turner's game-tying home run was a hit he needed to break out of his early struggles. Do you agree or disagree? And you can let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, that's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcast, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow, join the conversation. I'll say it again. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there. People say they can't find us. We're everywhere. Everywhere on the planet, A2D Radio is. We appreciate y'all. Listen, chime in. Let us know what you think about the poll. Is this the breakout homer that Trea Turner needed? Well, listen, I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree. I'm going to try to stay positive with this because this is a guy that always has gotten his numbers, right? He's a professional hitter. I don't know what contributes to early struggles for guys. I don't know if it's a new place, if it's a little pressure, if it's trying to do too much, right? I don't know what goes into each player's head, right? But what I will say, it only takes one. It only takes one swing to break you out of it. And this isn't just one swing. This isn't a swing down 8-3 and you hit a 2-run homer and it's 8-5. Jerk me off with that, right? That doesn't break you out per se. Can it? Sure. This is a big one. This is a baseball team that was about to get swept at home where they've actually played decent by the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks are not years past Diamondbacks. They're legit.
They're good.
But they have no right coming here and sweeping your ass. And that's what it was looking like with our boy Gals on the mound today, who's a friend of A2D. We appreciate him doing the interview with us during COVID years. and we hope to have him on again after an NL Cy Young. That being said, I'm glad he pitched well and the Phillies got the win because this was a 2-run homer to tie a baseball game up with 2 outs in the 9th inning. That's not a regular hit. That's a big-time hit. That's what you need. That's what you pay a guy like Trea Turner for, is to deliver in those moments, and he did. Now, you hope this carries to the Braves series, because the thing with Trea is, and me and Mitch went over this, Mitch Williams, we went over this Monday, is he hits better on the road, right? Because why, boys? Less pressure.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this homer at home breaks him out at home, because he's hit well on the road. So hopefully this homer not only breaks him out totally, but gets us to a guy that we believe could be in the MVP conversation this year, right? We believe. Not saying he's going to win it. I'm saying a top 10 MVP candidate in the NL should be Trea Turner. So I'll agree. It breaks him out. Everybody out there, what do you say? Was this the one Trea Turner needed? Do you feel better tonight after this win because how it happened? Because you were down 5-0. You could have just lay down and quit, but you actually scratched and clawed your way back into it. So how you feeling? And answer the poll. Agree or disagree? Boys, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, from a fantasy standpoint, I hated today's game because I got Gauss, right? So I was hoping for a mow down, get up 5-0, and just cruise, right? But you look at what happened, and I'm ultimately going to agree to the poll here, Tommy. You look at how we came back, right? We just started to grind, right? We grinded at bats against Gauss. One thing, Gowan has done really well this year is his strikeout numbers are up. And one thing we didn't do today a lot was strike out. He only had 2 or 3 Ks today, which is different for us, right? We're usually a very high strikeout team. And when you see the strikeouts not coming, you feel something like this can happen, right? And then in the 4th, 5th inning, you got the homer from Schwarber. Again, another guy who's been struggling, has been finding a little bit more barrel now that he's in that 5 hole where he probably should be in this lineup, because you're protecting Harper, who Castellanos is protecting Harper, and Schwarber's now protecting Castellanos. Harper protecting Turner, all over. Right now you have protection in the lineup. But how many times over this slump, getting back to Turner, has he come up in these situations? Whether it's in just an inning, right? He's come up with 2 outs with men on base in an inning. Come up with 2 outs with men on base to end the game. And he's just not getting that hit. And me and Wilson, I think you and Sweeps were working, but me and Wilson were talking that last bat against Gowan, he hits Gowan and it goes right to Marte, right? He has no luck during this stretch, and he finally got a pitch that he can drive, and he hit it out of the ballpark. You could see the weight lifted off his shoulders as he's running around. The bases right there, and you have to think that that's the catalyst, right? He's been up in so many of those spots over the last 2 weeks, and it's failed, and he's finally got that taste out of his mouth, and that taste of, hey, I finally did something here for this team, right? This team has been carrying me, and they're not playing very well right now, but when they were playing decent, the team was carrying them. And now he feels like he's a part of it. And I think it's huge going into Atlanta, because this is a huge series. Their top 2 guys, their top 2 pitchers are out. So I think you're spot on expecting and needing at minimum a split, right? At minimum a split. And I'm hoping this is a catalyst, because Bryson's having really good at-bats at the leadoff spot. And you need that guy when he gets on to just start creating chaos in front of Harper, Castellanos, Schwarber.
Yeah, you're spot on. And the one thing you talked about, and then you guys go ahead, but the one thing Greg brought up was the protection, etc. Right? But let's go a little deeper, like we went on Monday night, and let's talk about how do you replace 30 homers and 100 RBIs, right? Because that's essentially what you need to replace this year, and that's the guy that you expect to replace it with, right? You get Turner here in this lineup that's constructed. You're saying, okay, I'm getting 25, maybe in a 2-0, I might even get a honey cut, right? Mm-hmm. How can I replace Reese's production, right? So you hope that Nick maybe can replace it, per se, or one of the 2 can replace it, and the other one's a bonus, right? Well, when the one's struggling, you're not getting that. And here's why we struggle with runners in scoring position, etc. But I couldn't agree more with what you said. I mean, this has to be what gets them out. What do you guys say?
I agree. I agree to the pull as well. I think it does break them out. I think it gets them going as well. Greg, you nailed the head. You nailed it on the.
He's nailed some head. He's nailed some head.
You nailed it to the point where there was multiple times this year where Trea Turner has either had the opportunity to tie the game or win the game for us. And I think it happened last week for us, right? I think it was, what was it? Was it second and third with 2 outs in the ninth? And he ended up striking out. I forgot how the game ended, but it ended with Trea Turner. And we were like, oh, it ended with Trea. Here we go. He's struggling. And it would end with Trea,
just the way it happens,
making
right,
the
Ralphie?
last out. Yeah.
When you're struggling like that, those situations find you.
Yeah. And it seems like, throughout baseball, guys go for 0 for 20 and, 0 for 22, through series or through weeks. And it's just either that little ground ball that sneaks through that gets you going, or that hit down the left field line or right field line that gets you going. And hopefully the home run that he hit today just gets him going and brings him back to the Trea Turner that we all knew that he played, that he was in Washington and he was in Los Angeles. So I agree to the pull. I think this gets him going because, like you said, Tommy, we need him, man. We need him. We need him because losing Reese and that 30 home runs and that RB and those 100 RBIs, you could somewhat replace that with Trea. But right now, hopefully that home run can spark something for him and he can go on a nice little hitting streak for us.
Yeah, well said, Ralphie. And everybody out there just tuning in, make sure you hit that like and subscribe for us. Stay with us forever. Stay with us. All right. So 3 agrees. Noah?
Make it 4 for 4. I think this is the this is the hit that. Hey, that's okay. I'll say this though, I still have some concerns about this team. Obviously, where we're at in the standings isn't where we'd like to be. Albeit we're only 6.5 out. It's getting late early, and we need to start playing consistent baseball. It was a nice comeback win today. But the bottom line is, overall, just to sum it up here, over the first couple months of the season, the starting pitching's been pretty awful, to be honest with you. The bullpen's been, up and down. Better of late, but you don't quite know what you're getting there. And, overall, it seems like it's the same problems like we had early on last season with, problems with running the bases and just overall boneheaded plays in the field and just stuff that mistakes that good baseball teams should not be making. Look, we're only a game shy of 50 games into the season. We're 49 games into the season. All right, so the math tells me we have 113 left to play or so. So we still got time, but we always say,
hold on. You can't tell me you hit the number and then say or so.
Yeah,
is that what's left? Is that math right?
Yeah, I think it's 113 left.
Okay,
that's impressive. I'm going to give you props. I could have done it.
I have no idea.
My math might be a little fuzzy. Sometimes I got to fudge a few fucking numbers at my other gig. But anyway, we always kind of look at it. Memorial Day weekend, which is approaching fast here. That's kind of the first benchmark, and then you kind of see how the team's doing around the All-Star break, and then the trade deadline. And then you see where you're at around Labor Day weekend. Are you still in contention in early September there? And right now, if I had to give this team a grade, I really can't give this team anything better than a D+ or C- right now. I sure hope that changed. Nice win today, but we have a lot of work to do.
Martian's the best. Can we get Secaucus to confirm if the math checks out? So spot on. So yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, we're going to talk about what's been wrong with them, and we'll get into some numbers and some common sense on just what the eye said. But what you said, no, what you said is right. Like, it's the same things we watched last year to a point, right, where it's a different thing every night that's messing you up. Okay, that's what it's been. So not good enough. We gotta clean that up. And there is like benchmarks. You're right. And when we come back from the break, we're gonna talk about does this not only does it get Trea Turner going, does it get the Phillies going into the Braves series and on? And we'll get into what's been wrong and why they've been so inconsistent like they have, right? That's the biggest thing. And we'll get into some numbers and some different reasons.
It's everything. I mean, the lineup's inconsistent. We're inconsistent in the field. Wheeler and Nola at the top of the rotation have been up and down. So, Well,
we're going to talk about it on the other side. Ralphie, you got the commercial or am I hitting it?
I got it. I got it for you.
Go ahead. We'll be right back.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Book today, phillysportstrips.com, the best in the business. So, Greg gave us the numbers, 113 games left. Appreciate you, Greg. Chime in, everybody. You can still answer the poll question. Trea Turner's game-tying home run was the hit he needed to break out of his early struggles. Do you agree or disagree? And comment in. Let us know. We had a clean sweep of agrees.
Speaking of clean sweep, I'm glad you went there. Panthers just scored with 4.3 seconds left in the third period to potentially sweep the Carolina Hurricanes. They're going to review, but wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. 4.3 left in the third.
Wow. What a way to walk it off if that's the case. Yeah, so answer the poll question, obviously. And does this get us going? Right? Is this, as a baseball team, not only Trea, this catapult us to where we want to be? And, I mean, obviously we're going to find out. Nobody has a crystal ball on this crap. I'm still on the hope that they're going to figure all their problems out and they're going to get hot for a stretch like they did last year. I feel like they're too talented not to, right? But it's going to be up to this lineup to do that. I think we're going to have starting pitching concerns maybe the rest of the year. Where do we get the inconsistency? I hope not. Aaron Nola's always been a better in the summertime anyway. He almost throws better when it's hot out. So I'm hoping he's going to be okay. Wheeler, I'm a little concerned with too because just hasn't been consistent enough. Hoping again, it's not tired arm. And as summer rolls around, he's going to be better. But I think it's going to rely on this lineup to do what they're paid to do and out hit people, right? If you score more runs than the other team, you win. And obviously, Captain Obvious. But I'm going to agree. I think today's win, the way it happened, and we've said this in the past and it didn't come true last year at times, this year early on, that you think that's the win that does it. This has to be the win that does that because of who you're going to play next. You got 4 with Atlanta, 3 with the Mets.
3 with the Mets, and it's back-to-back, too.
And all way where we have not played well.
Yeah.
And then Washington, might as well throw Washington in there, too, because Washington on the road, for us, isn't a cakewalk.
Yeah, 3 straight divisional series.
No, it was last year, Greg.
Well, true. It was last year, yeah.
Okay, we owned Washington.
We did, yes.
Period last year. So, that needs to continue and get to beat up on the teams you're supposed to. But they got to go minimum 4-3 over these next 7. Leaving Washington out. But we'll get into all that.
Correct, yes.
We'll get into all that. But is this the game, guys? Does this get them going?
I think it does. I mean, it's kind of twofold, too, for me. we're getting closer to June, and we know June is Kyle Schwarber month. By the way, the goal was upheld. The Florida Panthers are heading to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Wow. What a way to win it.
Wow. 4.3 seconds. Matthew Tkachuk, too. Wow.
Yeah, way to show up, Carolina.
Yeah. That was fun. Kyle Schwarber, we know he's prolific, in June. I think he's actually had a little better of a year this year prior to June. You know what I mean? At least driving the baseball. I think he's got more homers this year than he did last year at the coming into June part. I don't know if that's true. Feels like it. But I think one of the other aspects too, and I think some of these other guys.
Well, his problem is nothing's with runners in scoring position.
Yes.
Everything's a solo shot. But go ahead.
One of the other guys we're missing this year that was so key last year is Gene Segura. Right. And you have some of these other guys that are now getting regular playing times. Your Sosas, even like guys like Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, right? We're missing another professional hitter. And until some of these younger guys, and again, they're young, and Bryson and Alec have really shown their ability to handle the bat in any situation. But we're missing another veteran that was a professional hitter in this lineup. And when you have a lineup sometimes that boasts a Cody Clemens and an Amundo Sosa in a lineup together, that sometimes, isn't easy for the top of the lineup to, handle that depth there at the bottom. But I do think this is a huge win because of the way it came, right? We obviously talked about Turner, but then Bohm with the game winner. And it wasn't a cheapy game winner. He drove that baseball to that, to the right center field gap. Schwarber.
Yeah, one bounce off the wall.
Yeah. Schwarber hit a home run that was big. And the biggest thing to me was our bullpen is lights out right now for the most part. And they held that game where it was, where, like you said earlier, Tom, not only the offense could have laid down, the pitching could have came in and laid down, right? You know what I mean? Those guys, when they come in, could have just said, all right, well, I'm just going to throw you fastballs, and if you guys hit me all over the park, then cool. But they held that game and gave us a chance to come back. And so I'm hoping that our bullpen stays lights out, and our offense continues to come around with some big hits.
Yeah, I agree. What do you guys think?
I agree as well. I think it gets them going because, like you said, Tommy, the Diamondbacks of the past were a horrendous team, right? For the past 3 years, they were just a team that will, you just roll over, coming into this, they'll start the season off hot and then just start rolling over. But they're actually a pretty good team this year. A lot of young pieces over there in Arizona as well. And for the Phillies to not to get swept at home to the Diamondbacks, to finally get that win, to at least win one at home, going to Atlanta feels pretty good. Because if you lose today, you're like, oh my God, now we got to go to Atlanta for 4. Now we got the Mets for 3. And it's like, now you're really grinding down there in Atlanta to at least, because if you get swept by the Diamondbacks today, then we're sitting here saying, okay, you have to win. You might have to win 3 out of 1. You have to go 3-1 down there in Atlanta and hope for the best when you come back up to New York. And hopefully you can at least win that series as well. But I think today Cal can get them moving, almost like the Trea Turner situation, get those guys moving. And Greg, like you said, bullpen could have just rolled over today when we were down 5-0, right? Just could have rolled over and it could have been ugly, but they stand pat. The bats got it going and we got the win. It was a huge win for us. Huge win.
Yeah, definitely, Ralphie. No, what do you think?
Well, it's nice to say, it's nice to salvage one of them at least, but we got to have the mindset here of winning series. To lose 2 out of 3 to the D-backs at home. Yeah, I know they're not the terrible D-backs of the last couple of years here, but we need to start taking series at home. Down in Atlanta, dude, we have to split with them. We recently, the playoff series aside, we have not played well overall against the Braves the last few years here, and we've played absolutely terrible down at SunTrust Park or whatever the fuck they call it now. Wherever, their new digs north of Atlanta. Anyway, we need to go down there and find a way to, at the very least, split a series, if not win it. And I'm not going to get too excited yet, but I hope this is a catapult to something positive here, and it would definitely be nice to take a series from the Braves and Mets. That'd be a good start heading into June here.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad one. And you look at like the problems, right, on why the Phillies have been inconsistent and why they're 23 and 26, right? And they're right there in front of our faces, okay? And I'm not like a big number guy, but sometimes numbers are right in front of your face. And it's like, oh, that's why. Okay, well, I'll tell you why. They're 21st in earned runs given up as a pitching staff as a whole, okay? That's including bullpen starters.
Yep.
Not good enough. Their ERA is 23rd, all right? Not good enough.
No,
okay?
Good
All right,
your two aces are ERAs over 4.
We'll get to that. Hold on. They've given up 241 runs, 22nd. Now, let's go to hitting real quick. All right, we'll keep this quick on the hitting. RBIs, 22nd in baseball. Not good enough. Home runs, 21st in baseball. Not good enough. Walks, 24th in baseball. Not good enough. Hit by pitches, if you even care, 21st in baseball. Strikeouts, 20th in baseball. Runs scored, 21st in baseball. So you want to know why the Phillies haven't lived up to it?
How about runners and scoring? How about hitting with runners in scoring position?
I don't even need to look at. I don't even need to. I mean, I could probably go look it up. I can just tell you it doesn't matter because they're 22nd in RBIs, which tells you they don't hit with runners in scoring position.
Yeah,
I don't even need
no runs.
Right. I don't even need to essentially look that up. So when you look at the earned runs, which is 21st in baseball, okay, and you look at RBIs, which is 22nd in baseball, you have your answer on why the Phillies have been this inconsistent. If you want to circle more and really look at what things you're saying, okay, you can go right to the starting staff. Wheeler over a 4, Nola over a 4, Falter a 5, Walker over a 5.5, the Ranger a 9.8 right now. Granted, he just came back, right? So if you just circle through that, that's downright atrocious. So what's kept your pitching staff even remotely decent, is because the bullpen's been really good and it's bailed out the bad starting pitching we've got early on. But we talked about both Nola and Wheeler sort of pitch better in the months of mid-June, July, and August. They just usually have over their careers is when those guys sort of throw better. So you hope those guys come around. But even if they don't, you can still win a ton of baseball games if you just goddamn hit with runners in scoring position because you don't have to have the best starting staff in the way baseball is set up today. You just need to have a damn good bullpen and hit. So that's why they haven't been good enough.
What's up, Cromer?
What's up, Cromer? I didn't even see you there because I'm looking at
the
numbers.
No, I mean you're spot on. I'm gonna break the across the board. I'm gonna disagree with the topic.
Of course you would.
Well, somebody's got to be. I mean, listen. At this point, he's anybody. I don't care if you're Trea Turner, Bryce Harper, or Sosa. You got to prove to me that this is going to be a catalyst for anything because there's been way too much inconsistency. As you ran down the numbers, right? And we talked, in our chat and everything else about how this team, you can't win offensively or defensively when you're in the bottom third of every category that means anything in baseball. And yeah, you would hope that a game like this, a big win, a big hit by Trey would be something that would be a catalyst. But at this point, there's been no consistency with anybody really in this lineup to the point where you feel good about anything, I think, going forward. So, and it's a tough matchup too, coming off of this, going to face Atlanta. So maybe I would feel a little bit differently if there was a little more of a cakewalk, but that's going to be a tall test. So.
Yeah, I will say early on they haven't
played. I would
played.
like to be wrong on this, by the way, because I love Trea Turner, Cardinals fan, Phillies fan, whatever. I love this guy. When he's hitting in the game, baseball's better to watch. So I hope it's a catalyst. But right now, for anybody, you got to prove it to me.
Yeah, I'll just let the career 299 average sort of put my, I'll I'll pray that this breaks him out, because that's what he's done for 9 years. So, I just feel like he's too much of a good hitter for this to like keep continuing for him. And that's, that's where, you just hold out hope that it does.
Yeah. I mean, I heard Noah talking earlier about how, you're starting to hit June and it's not the beginning of the season anymore. You got to start turning this around a little, even if it's a little bit at a time.
He's about to get arrested.
And oh yeah. But there's somebody's got to be the catalyst here, right? This lineup, there's way too much money that's been put into this lineup for this production to be for anybody. So, I hope it is, because I feel like when Trey starts hitting, everybody else in the lineup's going to kind of follow suit. So let's hope for the Phillies that it is, but I just can't agree to it until I start to see it.
Well, I think that's part of the overall problem. I think most of the lineup has been hitting, and when you have the guy you're too old not hitting, that's kind of where a lot of the RBIs that are runners in scoring positions come from, because we're not able to string together hits, right? We're not able to string together long innings where you go off for 4 or 5 runs in an inning, where you bat around, right? I mean, when's the last time we batted around? I couldn't even tell you. You know what I mean? And I think that's part of that struggle, right? And Tommy, I completely agree with you. I mean, your career 300 hitter, as bad as you've been, that potentially means how hot you're going to be for the rest of the year, right? Because if you're going to put up your numbers, he's going to have to hit almost near 400 to get himself back to the 300 mark, which is where he is in his career. Now, do we expect that? Probably not. We probably expect a 350 clip from here on out, if you believe that he's going to get near his numbers when it's all said and done, which pros usually end up getting their numbers at the end of the year.
Yeah, they usually do. There's exceptions to the rule. Like Nick really didn't last year, but Nick, I don't think he's had a good career, but his batting average hasn't been like what Turner's has been, right?
Right.
So, you're right. I mean, usually you bat your best hitter in the 2-hole. So, he needs to hit.
Yeah.
He absolutely does. And he's been accountable, but that only goes so far, right?
Sure.
You're batting 250. So, you can be accountable all you want. But this team needs to start hitting as a whole. But what Chrome said is they've actually played better against better competition this year, for the most part. It seems like they play down. We watched it against the Giants. Like, you're playing down. You're playing down to a team. I've watched them do that a little bit too much. That could have just been a one-time thing. You know what I mean? With them. But you hope the competition, rises their level of play over the next 7 games. Because if it doesn't, we could be in big trouble.
Yeah, definitely. And Atlanta hasn't announced their starter yet for tomorrow. I don't know, at least here on ESPN. I don't know if they've done it on their own socials or not. But obviously, we go Noah, Walker, Wheeler first 3. Our Sunday is open right now. I'm guessing it's going to be probably like yesterday, a combination of Strom, Covey. You know what I mean? In one way or another. But of course, that's against their Spencer Strider. So. Hopefully we take these first 3 and then we just punt Sunday Night Baseball. Because Elder's pitching tonight, because I have him in fantasy. So Elder's pitching tonight, and then they have Schuster, Morton, and Strider scheduled for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I don't know who that leaves for Atlanta to start tomorrow.
And they're without their top 2 dogs, aren't they?
Max Fried and Kyle Wright are out.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying they're right for the picking, but again, you don't face those 2 top end guys, right? You know what I mean? And
out of curiosity, how long are they out?
A couple weeks, and they went out like a week or 2 ago. I will check again just to get exactly, but they're out for a couple weeks.
That probably means we don't have to worry about facing them until after the All-Star break.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Max Fried, Damien return after All-Star break. He was a forearm strain.
He's aiming for after the All-Star break?
After the All-Star break.
Jeez.
Well, they walked it off today too. So
did they?
Forearm strain. He might be headed for Tommy Johnville.
Possible.
It's all possible, but got to pay the bills real quick. Hey, Birds fans, Tom Arnone with some huge news. Philly Sports Trips has released their Eagles schedule. You can still get in on their Phillies trips too. So go check them out for that as well. Make sure you go see my friends from PhillySportsTrips.com and reserve your spot today. You'll get to watch a Birds game in a great city and hang with former Eagles like Hollis Thomas. Philly Sports Trips books at the best hotels and has the best Eagles available. You know you'll have a blast. Book now and tell them A2D sent you.
I think they're doing a Phil's trip out to Pittsburgh to PNC Park.
They are.
They are. Yep.
That's a bus trip, or you get your own.
Late July. That's a big one.
That's a good one. If anybody's been out there, that's a fun trip.
Yeah, they're doing one at Petco too. They got one in San Diego, so they got some good ones coming up. I mean, the Colorado one they already did. That's another good one. You know, for anybody that's ever.
Oh, San Diego would be nice.
Oh,
it's Labor Day weekend, Ralphie.
But the Braves are, Tom, you said they walked off. They were in the same situation we were, going against the Dodgers, about to get swept, and walked it off to avoid the sweep. So you got two teams coming in, literally same situation of each team going to each other.
So, what do you guys put the blame on for our early inconsistent start? Is it more on the starting pitching, or is it hitting with runners in scoring position? What would you put the blame on?
I'm gonna go starting pitching, and they're just in a inconsistent. I mean, they're just as inconsistent as everything right now on this team, right? You know what I mean? And I think that's to me is the catalyst of the issues, right? I mean, how many times do you start a game down 1-2-0, and then all of a sudden your lineup's now playing catch up from inning one, right? Or inning
Seems
two.
like every night. Seems like every night.
Feels like it, right, Ralphie?
Yeah.
And that's so much
because it is.
There's so much pressure on a lineup, right? You know what I mean? And there's already enough pressure in the game. The game provides enough pressure already with just the gameplay itself, right? And so going into a game every night down 1-2-0 is so hard, especially when one of your best hitters isn't hitting, right? So I think it's all, they're choking that handle.
You can see it. You can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Trea today before the homer. I mean, that ball, Adubel Herrera will get smoked for swinging it down south. He didn't make $300 million, right? So those guys who aren't good enough, we get it. The guys who are good enough, it tells me that you're not seeing the baseball. You're not trusting yourself.
Mm.
And I know this is stress to him. All right. You're swinging here. You're deciding here if you're swinging or not.
Yeah.
You're not tracking the baseball and reacting to it. You're saying, all right, swing. And that's how you swing a pitch 10 feet in the dirt. That's how that happens. It's the only way.
That video today. Oh, my God. Horrendous.
I don't care how good. I don't care how good his curveball is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that thing you can tell out the hand.
Touched grass. It might have touched grass and then bounced on plate and he's
seriously
at him. Yeah. Jeez. But I'm gonna stick with Greg. I'm gonna go starting pitching. We all knew coming into this year that Nola and Wheeler were gonna have a slow start, right? They pitched the most innings last year for us. We went to the World Series. They were the horses for us. We knew they were gonna have a little bit of fatigue. So then we bring in Walker and we're like, okay, maybe Walker can be solid enough for Wheeler and Nola to breathe a little bit, to get their arms going again to start the year. And Walker's just been shit in the bed too, right? I think at one point his ERA was up to 6, and he got smoked in the Giants series, absolutely smoked. And it's like, damn, our 1 and 2 guys can't get it going. Now our 3 can't going. So now we got to rely on our 4 and 5 guys, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And as it trickles down, guys are not hitting the lineup. We're down 2-0 in a blink of an eye to start every single game. It feels like. I mean, the other night against Chicago, we were down 10-1, and snapping a finger, it felt like as well. And it's just, for me, the starting pitching, just because we knew what Wheeler and Nola was how they were gonna start this year, and just bringing another guy like Walker, kind of falling on his face a little bit to start the year, hurt us a little bit. But right now, I think for me, the starting pitching is the biggest to play with. I think the bullpen's been fine. The bullpen's been fine, which is usually not the case here in Philly. Usually it's the other way around, right? The starting pitching is pretty good. The bullpen's shit in the bed early on in the year, and then they figure it out. But right now, the starting pitcher's got to get it together.
Yeah, and they've been doing it without Alvarado, who, when he was pitching, was the best reliever in baseball.
Yeah, he was lights out.
I mean, he has a .063 on run average. Pretty good. Pretty unhittable. Noah, who do you put more blame on? The pitching as a whole, or a lineup with runners in scoring position?
Well, I'll preface by saying, we need work in all areas. But, yeah, the starting pitching, I'm a firm believer that sets the tone. Ultimately, yes, this bullpen's been pretty damn good of late, but they're going to eventually tire and wear out if our starting pitching can't go deeper into games. And, we're not getting enough innings out of those guys. We're not getting enough quality innings out of those guys, and it's, like I said, Wheeler and Nola have been pretty up and down. Look, out of your aces, let's face it, you need ERAs below 4. All right. And for hell, I'd love it if they were below 3, or at least in the low 3s. But Jesus, once you start getting ERA above 4, that's pretty average, if you ask me. So that needs to be better. They need to go deeper into games. When you're an ace, come on, give me 7 innings. You know what I mean? At least give me 7. Get deep into the ball. Get deep into the ball game. Take pressure off of the bullpen. I think, and I honestly think it starts there. And when you do that, I think it'll allow the rest of the team become a little more relaxed at the plate, in the lineup. They're not saying, "Oh my God, we're down 5-3 in the 5th inning." You know what I mean? And it's, I don't know. I just think if we can get the starting pitching lined up and get those guys going, I think the rest will kind of take care of itself, or at least that's what we hope. I think it'll be less pressure on this lineup, and they won't press as much and try to feel like they have to hit a 3-run homer every time they step up at the plate.
Yeah, for sure. Cromer, what do you think?
Jen, I'm going to go the other way, because I think when you come into the season, you know what you're going to have with Wheeler and Nola. But honestly, looking at Walker's career, to really expect that you're going to really get much out of him, I think that's a heavy burden. I think we knew coming into this season that the offense was going to have to be the catalyst. And if you really look at the numbers on the pitching side, like you guys said, the bullpen has done their job. So even if they're getting to the bullpen early, the bullpen is closing those innings out. And I think when you look at the starting pitching, like, no, it sounds great. Yeah, you want your guys going 7 innings, but in 2023, that's not Major League Baseball pitching, unfortunately.
Oh, hell, so some of them aren't even giving us 6.
I understand.
And give us something. Get out of the fucking 4th inning.
But that's baseball now.
Jesus.
Not go 4 and 5 innings. I mean, that's the trend. That's not anything that's like egregious. But when I look at the offense,
I hear you. I don't love it, but I guess I'll have to accept it, right?
But the money has been invested in the offense on this team. A lot of money has been invested in the offense year after year after year. You cannot have Kyle Schwarber hitting 170. You can't have your 2-hole hitter struggling the way he's struggling. There's too many guys, and even if you look at the on-base percentages, there's not really much in the lineup in terms of, because batting averages, whatever. But when you look at guys getting on base, there's nothing that like jumps out at the page at you. The offense is not doing its job, which also creates more issues for the pitching and more pressure on the pitching. For a pitching roster that really isn't phenomenal. This team is built to hit, and they need to hit. And I think that's the reason why you're seeing the struggles right now. If you can get Turner turned around and some of these other guys, I think you're going to see across the board, including in the starting rotation, you're going to see an uptick for a lot of guys on this roster.
All good points, but can we really expect this offense to score 7 or 8 runs every night? And
you should expect that more than expecting your starting pitchers to go 7 innings.
I'll say one thing: their on-base percentage is 15th in the league, so it's average. It can be better.
I mean, average for an above-average offense, what should be an above-average offense, Tom.
Yeah, but that's not their problem. Their problem all year is they just don't get the hits with runners in scoring position. It's not saying it's easy, but it's like
that's a problem.
Once in my life watching baseball, their issues are like right in front of our face. So, which is crazy because usually you're like, I don't know, right? You're always like, I don't know. Like, I can't figure it out. Like, my dad called me like, what's wrong with him? I said, where do you want me to start? Like, where would you like me to start? How much time do you got? Because the starting pitching hasn't been good enough. The lineup hasn't been good enough. And obviously, the cop-out and easy answer is, well, both do. My starting pitching just has to be good enough, okay? I always say this. It's just got to be good enough if I got a lights-out pen. All right, which I have, supposedly. I got 4 arms back there that are lights out guys, right? So, and other guys that are very good. So, I just need to get deep enough. I just need to give me 6. Would I love 7, 8, maybe a complete game mixed in? Sure. You don't gotta do much to give me a good time. But like, they got to be better. Obviously, we know that. I think they will, but this lineup has not been good enough. It's not even close to being good enough. Like, Schwarber has 12 home runs. Cool. 24 RBIs. That's goddamn hard to do. That's harder to do than have 12 home runs and like 35 RBIs. Like, it doesn't match up. So what's happening is like, okay, guys are losing some baseballs here and there, but the big hits, they started coming today a little bit, right? And that's why you hope. But the big hits tell you all you need to know. When you're 22nd in RBIs and you're 21st in homers, that ain't the lineup I think it is. Yep. And listen, where do you want me to start in the lineup? Because I can call out a lot of guys. I'm not going to call out Trea today, but like JT's been blah. Okay, he's been blah. Bryce has been like okay since he's came back. I mean, he's already struck out goddamn 21 times. He's been okay. I'm not going to crush Bryce. You know what I mean? Bohm's like dipped a little bit. He had a big hit today. Like Nick's fine. Stott's been very good. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like,
yeah, no, absolutely.
Like where's JT?
And then you have 2 holes, right? Then you have a Sosa and a Clemens potentially, right? You have 2 potential holes in your lineup.
Well, Clemens in 57 ABs has lost 4 baseballs though at least.
No, I hear you.
So, it's not terrible. Sosa's been very good. So,
to your point, though, Tommy, that's you're spot on, though, because middle of the road for this lineup is not good enough. It's not even close to good enough.
If your leading RBI guy is Alec Bohm with 35 of them, your next closest guy is Nick with 26. 26, okay? And then your 24 with Schwartz, 19, 18. JT's got goddamn 17. Turner's got 13. You want to know where your problems are? I just told you what they are. JT and Turner aren't hitting with runners in scoring position. They're not. Those 2 guys are not hitting with runners in scoring position, and they're paid to do that. The 2 of them are paid to drive in goddamn runs.
Isn't JT's average hovering around 300, though?
276.
Okay, well, last week, okay. But to your point, though, it's like he's getting hits, but he's not driving baseballs, right? You know what I mean? And like with this lineup, yeah, those hits are cool, but we need you to drive baseballs.
He's got 3 home runs.
Yeah.
Or no? Yeah, he's got 3.
3 or 4. It's
he's
not
got
much.
3.
Yeah. In this ballpark.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like that's not even cool. You know, Schwarber's walked a lot, so his on base percentage is like right? Marsh has walked a lot. Your best on base percentage guy is Harper right now, but you can't even count him. So it's really Marsh, who doesn't play versus lefties.
Yep.
So think about that.
Scared.
Devin says, are we ready for a 3-0 comeback? No shot that happens, Devin. No shot.
I guess he's talking Celtics.
Yeah. Alex has never thought he'd miss Reese. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely
Big
are.
time. Big time in the lineup.
People want to run the guy out of town.
But
I hope we get him for a cheap deal next year.
Yeah. I actually wouldn't hate it. Again, it also comes down to where we lost him, right? You know what I mean? Like you lose him early in the season, like he just gets like traded or signed. Then you know you probably have an idea of how you're going to replace it. When you get lost, just like anybody, when you lose that type of guy a week before the season, you know what I mean? You're going to struggle to replace him regardless of who he is. And then you talk about a guy who is so good in the clubhouse and then does put up 30 and 100, whether we overlook it or not as fans.
Yeah, you do it in December. It's like, okay, you can replace it.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and that's where, like I said earlier, that's where you need a Turner and you need Turner and Nick to really like replace that for us. And we haven't got that help. Yeah, Falter's not a starter, right, Alex? Like,
yeah,
you know, they're gonna have to maybe look for that, you know, as we get closer to the deadline.
On that note, Tommy, and everybody, of course, do you think we can wait to the deadline to get a starter? Or do you think that kind of almost has to happen sooner rather than later to kind of with the struggles that we are having?
I think you got a week or two, Greg.
Kind of where I'm at.
I think these 7 games are going to tell you a lot, to be completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is these 7 games against the 4 against Atlanta and the 3 against New York is going to tell you either you pull the trigger early or you can wait a little bit longer and you know, ride the ship a little bit longer into the trade deadline.
Yeah, completely agree.
I think it goes kind of 2 ways, Ralphie, right? If you shit the bed here these next 7, then you're waiting for the deadline to see if you could come back.
Yeah.
Right? To see if you get that run that we went on last year, right? Where you win 20 or 26. You know what I mean? Like stuff, something like that heading to the All-Star break and the deadline, right? I mean, so I think you're right. I'm on the notion that it almost has to happen very soon because we know those guys got to come here, get acclimated, right? You know, you're gonna need 2-3 starts to get back into a flow, right? And then usually if you do wait to the deadline, that's right up at the end of the year, and they're very little value.
You got 2 months. You got 2 months for them to get going. You know, if you do trade for somebody.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how they decide to work it, but we're going to really find out, like Ralph said, in the next 7 to 10 days. You know, we'll have a better answer, and then we obviously go from there. But we take a quick break, brought to you by Philly Sports Trips, and we'll be right back in 40 seconds.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
PhillySportsTrips.com. All right, so segueing in to the Phillies Braves little preview here. How do you think this series shakes out, boys? You know, the Phillies take 2, do they take 3? Do you got them 4? You got them losing 3. So where does this shake out? However you guys want to start.
I'm going to say
I'm going to pee, and I'll be back for my answer.
I'm going to say
I know I quit smoking. Sorry, Ralph. I quit smoking. I'm on 10 days.
Nice. Hell yeah.
So I'm not going. You know,
congratulations. Well done, sir.
Yeah, it feels good. All right.
Hell
I'll be
yeah.
right back. Enough
So
about me.
I was going to say these next 4 games are huge for the Phillies, and I think Atlanta missing their 2 top dogs pitching wise, I think kind of, obviously helps the Phillies out a little bit. So I'm gonna say big win today. I'm gonna keep it rolling the positive train so far for the Phillies. I'm gonna say Phillies go 3-1 against the Braves. I'm gonna go 3-1 against the Braves. I'll be Mr. Positive right now for all the Phillies fans out there. I think we go 3-1 in this series against Atlanta. Noah, what you got?
For the I got them splitting with Atlanta, and then I think they go to New York and take 2 out of 3 from the Mets. So I guess I got them going
4 and
3.
4 and 3 in the next 7. Okay.
Yep.
It's a win. It's a win. So, Cromer, what do you got?
A step in the right direction.
I'm with Noah. I got a split here. I think, and I think that's best case scenario, honestly, at this point. You walk away without losing any ground.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's ultimately where they end up. I want to be I'm going to be and want to be optimistic like Ralphie and go 3 wins just because of the way the pitching matchup rolls around, right? We have I don't know who's starting tomorrow for the Braves, and then we don't face Spencer Strider till Sunday, Morton on Saturday. So I think early on we get the better half of that obviously pitching matchup. And not that our starting pitching has been good, but at least it's our 3 big money guys, right? You know what I mean? So I want to put some faith behind them guys. Down here in the South has been real nice and hot and humid. So that's perfect weather for what we know Knowles loves, and what pitcher doesn't love pitching, in the warm weather and stuff like that.
So right now on MLB Network, they have the Braves listed. Dalen Dodd is the starter tomorrow for the Braves.
Yep.
Okay. So
Dalen
again,
Dodd,
Nola
he's
versus
2-1,
Dodd.
2-1 with a 6.46 ERA.
I want to believe that our ace or one of our aces, right? I don't want to trigger our fans because God forbid we have a logical conversation.
Yeah.
I want to believe that Aaron Nola, gets the better of that, right? But they're playing well themselves. I know Matt Olson and Ozuna hit 2 bombs, and I think it was Albies walked it off today. So I'm going to go 3-1, and stay on the positive side. We got to get rolling sometime, right? You know what I mean? We got to get rolling. So then 3-1, Ralphie, where do you got the Mets?
I think we win the Mets series as well. I think we go 2-3. 2-3. Or 2-1, excuse me. 2-1. 2-1, excuse me. My bad.
No, it was you were the same thing, right?
Over there.
Yeah.
No, you.
I got us. Yeah, I mean, I know the Mets are a little better than us in the standings right now, but yes, I have I got us taking 2 out of 3 from the Mets. The Mets have been some similar struggles as to our Phillies with inconsistency.
And again, we kind of, we're getting the good part of their rotation, right? Senga, Carrasco, and Scherzer on getaway day, right? So we missed the Scherzer-Verlander combo, right? You only get one of them. And we actually have hit Scherzer pretty well over the last couple of years. Senga struggled, but even so, Senga and Carrasco, they're not overpowering, right? They're not going to, blow anybody away. That being said, they're both going to no-hit us. And we roll into that series, Ranger Danger, Noel, and Walker. That's where we roll into that series with. Cromer, where do you got that series at?
I'm going to be the optimistic one here. I think the Phillies are going to walk into New York and sweep them.
Don't you dare. No, you dare. Don't you dare take that from me. You've been negative all night, Nancy. You've been negative all night.
I haven't liked what I've seen from the Mets at all. And I feel the Mets, if anything, might be trending in a worse situation right now than the Phillies are. Obviously they do have the two aces, which is kind of always an ace up the sleeve for them. However, like literally and figuratively. However, I've not liked what I've seen from their lineup at all. And I do feel that the Phillies could be on the cusp in terms of turning that corner. Much more confidence in that than I do with what I'm seeing from New York. So I don't think the Atlanta series is the one they really maybe find their groove. I think that this next one in New York is a big series. And if they could do that on the road, come away with 2 wins in Atlanta, and then can go into New York and sweep the Mets and knock off one of the aces, I think that's huge. That's the catalyst that's going to possibly start turning the season around. So I'm going to be optimistic for this team.
It's not a bad thought too, Chrome, because then you go into Washington where you should at minimum take 2 of the 3, right? You got to get greedy though in some of these, and then when you come home, you bring in Detroit, right? And we know Detroit isn't a powerhouse. They're playing decent, but they're not a powerhouse by any means, right? So before the Dodgers come into town in that last weekend of the first weekend in June, right? You have some games that, to your point, can get rolling and get on a groove, and and potentially take some back from the Dodgers. I was thinking sweep myself, just because I going good through Atlanta, catalyst of Atlanta, sweep the Mets, because I agree they're having the same conversations we're having. The Mets are, and the fans, right? The Mets and the Mets fans are having the same conversations we're having. What do we do? Who needs to get fired? Right?
Absolutely.
They're
if we shit the bed on this series, do we make an early trade?
Yeah. What do we got to do to mix it up? Because they're going through the same thing mentally as fans as we are. But I think what's nice though is regardless of what we have in Atlanta, and I think everybody at minimum had a sweep, right? We all have winning series. We're winning records here in the next 2 series.
Yes. Right?
Because even if you have a split, then you haven't taken, 2 out of 3. You're 4-3 in the next 7. Not ideal, but it's not. You're not losing games then.
No.
Right?
And to your point too, Greg. Right? Kind of running down the schedule the next 3 or 4 series. It's tough because it's on the road. But, man, if they could get rolling here, they could really rip off a good run the next 15, 20 games and make up a hell of a lot of ground in this division.
Well, if you want to be
right back in.
Well, to your point, if you want to be a playoff team, Chrome, you better be at least 500 on the goddamn road. So, I mean, that's been something we've talked about on these airways for shit. I mean, I've been saying it for 8 years. And with a lot of you guys for way too long. We said the same damn things over and over and over again. So, I heard a lot of, obviously, what you guys said. To go to the Braves, I would love to be with Ralphie. I would love to say you go in there and, you play up to your competition and you make a statement, right? They haven't been playing the best baseball recently either. So maybe it's a time to go get them. So, but I'll just go safe with the split, right? Not saying I love that, but I'll go safe with that. They split with them, and then you go to New York, and I mean,
you want to do it.
You may, like okay, let's just if I keep it. I mean, you could go and sweep them. You would love to go and sweep them. If you go 3-1 against Atlanta, you're obviously good with 2 and 3. But you got to sweep one of those next 2. You either got to sweep the Mets, or or take 2 out of 3, or you got to sweep Washington. So at some point in those next 2, you got to win 2 out of 3 and a sweep to really push yourself your chips all in and say, hey, now we're playing really good baseball. Now you could win every series and still have we're having the same conversation. You win the Atlanta series, you win the Mets series, you win the Washington series. We're all good with that too.
That's three straight series you won. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
against all division teams.
Yeah.
That's telling me, hey, maybe I don't have to make a move. Now, the other side of it is you lose all three series.
Oh, boy.
You better pick up the phone. I mean, I love what Alex is saying. I mean, Giolito, I would love to get my hands on. That's a terrible organization. It's a shit rat organization.
Oh, it's so bad over there.
And they're horrendous. Bad. So not that we have anything to give, but what do you want? Like, I'm at the point, which one of those three pitchers do you want? I'm not in goddamn wait for Andrew Painter mode if he ain't going to ever be ready for 3 more years, right? I'm in win now mode. Now, next year, the year after.
Yeah.
Giolito helps me right in that mode. Right in that mode. And then you can decide after the year, which one you keeping. You keeping him or you keeping Nola? Which one are you going to keep?
Yeah.
Or somebody said stupid money at one point. I don't know who that guy was. You won't be stupid, be stupid. Let me just be damn stupid. Who cares? And you're going to say, Tom, well, it's not your money. Dude, winning makes you more money.
Yeah, and he saw that. He saw what in October in Philly did.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's why he went and paid a guy $300 million. Of course he saw it.
Well, particularly, too, at this point, right? They've invested so much money into the offense. This offseason has to be where the money goes into the pitching side. It has to be.
I mean, Giolito hasn't. Oh, sorry, this is last year.
Don't matter. You're going to get the same stats. He wasn't good last year.
You know what? Real quick, too, Tommy, I wanted to add on.
Been better this year, though.
Yeah.
I know you guys are running through the next couple series, and I think that Detroit series is one that's so important too. And I know it's an American League team, but that's a team that doesn't really score a whole lot of runs offensively. So, your pitching should be in a position to succeed in that series. And if you can rip off 2 out of 3 or sweep that series as well, which I think is very, very possible they could do that. I mean, I would add that series into being a very key series to where this team starts to look getting closer to the trade deadline over the next month.
Yeah, to your point, average 25th, stolen bases 27th, walks 25th, RBIs 29th, homers 26th.
I think they're
triples, doubles 26, hits 29th, runs 30th.
Yep. It's not good. I was going to say, I know they're in the bottom 2 or 3 in the league.
Not what you're looking for.
Runs scored. So this team really, that's an important series. And I think that, again, if the Phillies can go on a run and come out a few games at least over 500 over these next 3, and then go into Detroit and handle some business, then they're in good shape going forward.
And again, I think you're right to key on that series too, Chrome, because the next team coming in to Philly is the Dodgers. And then you head on the road to face Arizona again for 4, right? So, you're right. You have Washington. You have Washington and Detroit back-to-back. Big series against bad teams right before you then go face against some good teams. So you want to start hitting the ball, you know what I mean? Get that groove. No better team to do it against than the Nationals and the Tigers.
This is where you get your confidence back.
Yeah. You would hope to just up your guys' ante a little bit. You would hope that starts against the Mets if it doesn't start against the Braves, right? You would hope that you go to New York, you take 2 out of 3, feel better. You go to Washington, you don't play down to a goddamn baseball team. You go in there motivated.
And smoke them.
Yeah, the energy, the effort's there, right? Guys are focused. And you go, like Ralphie said, you go get really feeling good about yourself. And then you face a team like the goddamn – this guy. I got to mute his goddamn mic. I mean, then you go face a team like I don't know where we're at. You go face –
Go face the Tigers.
Thanks, Ralph. You go face the Tigers, who we talked about, have the worst offensive production in maybe Major League Baseball history right now. And you talk about a pitching staff that's ranked 23rd in homers, giving up. Everything else they're like decent at, right? They're 29th in strikeouts. So they don't strike a lot of people out, and they give up the long ball.
It's crazy, though, that they're in second place in their division with how far down, how low they are in so many statistical categories in the league.
Yeah,
How
but then you
awful-
come down to
how
the
awful
timely
is
hits. Timely hits, right? The
Fair.
stat that's not up there for us, right? You
Fair.
can gauge some things, but if your pitching staff, which it looks like they're sort of keeping them in games, right?
I'd
There's
be curious.
six. There's six in baseball in hits given up as a staff, like a whole, not just your rotation, as a whole, your whole arsenal of pitchers. They are six in baseball. Think about that.
I'd be curious to what their batting average is as a team with runners in scoring position as
Yeah, I'm not
compared
sure.
to the overall numbers. I bet they're pretty high. They're probably at least top 15 as opposed to being, mid to low 20s on seemingly every other category.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with that too.
I mean, it's not a great division anyway, so
No. But still,
but regardless,
you're smoking mirror and ain't getting it done. So
Yep.
it says good coaching, timely hits, timely homers, pitch your whole staff and relievers just keep you in games. Like the stat that goes unnoticed, right? You playing 27 outs, you're doing all the routine shit, right? Right? You're probably in games. You're throwing goddamn strikes, you're locating, probably in games. At least in it. All right. Let's segue to some Sixers news and rumors, and then we'll get to our Eagles Super Bowl favorites conversation to wrap up tonight's show. So some things came out regarding the Sixers and not only the last 24 hours, but as recent as 3 hours ago, where the Sixers are not really motivated to pay James Harden a max salary in the upcoming contract negotiations. And that's been reported by Brian Windhurst, who I think does a pretty good job for ESPN. So a guy in the know. I like that it shut Woj up for 5 seconds on this topic, because Woj, as much as you can't not respect a guy like Woj, right? But then you can also not respect him. Right? I mean, this guy can't tweet it out enough during the goddamn playoffs.
Yeah.
This guy
James
during
Houston.
the regular season. Like, what are we talking about, bro?
Yeah.
You had to sit down with him? Stop reporting that garbage. Wait till the end of the year. I hate that shit for any player, right? Like, it's stupid. To me, it's bad reporting, even if there's like some semblance of truth to it. Okay. It's just, to me, it's shit clickbait reporting. Shit clickbait reporting. If we're talking about players going somewhere else during a goddamn season, did that player say that? Because unless James Harden comes to the media or calls Woj on the phone, who's you're in? Somebody in Houston? His camp, who's all about making money? So who reported that exactly, Woj? That it's that important to tweet out? Now, that being said, he can go to Houston. I'm totally on board. I think it's the best news I've heard. Not that not James necessarily leaving, but James realizing, oh, that money ain't out there. That max money's not out there. So maybe I stay and try to win, because 39 mil's pretty good. 39 mil's pretty good. And maybe if I took 30 the next year and 30 the next year, this team would have money to build things around it, and I'm still cleaning up. How about a 4-year deal worth 30 mil a year? How about that, James? Where it gives your team flexibility too. So you tell me 4 years and 30 mil don't get you enough lap dances?
That's four for 120.
I think 4 for 120 is pretty good. On your second deal, right? Or his third deal. Or is his third deal? Third, because you just got one from the Sixers, right?
Yeah.
So his third deal. Not bad for your third deal, dude. I don't know how much money these guys need sometimes. Like, relax. I know you spend differently, but relax. Like, that's a ton of money. It changes families' lives. So are you about winning? Because you stay for 30 million, you guys can do stuff. I don't want to totally trash the guy. He came up small in game 6. In those last 5 minutes, if you just watched it, and he definitely came out small in game 7. I don't need anybody telling me and going and jerking me off the games 1 and 5. All right, I just don't need it. I don't need it because sports is about consistency. Sports isn't about showing up one
What
night.
have you done for me lately?
Yeah, and say, oh, well, he won that game for you. Okay, we were up 3-2 in a series, and my best player doesn't see the basketball.
Yeah.
My best player doesn't see the basketball. Who's controlling my offense? The reports about Doc are true. He lets players play. He lets players figure out what's happening on the court. I don't agree with that completely, but I also understand it to a point, right? When you got vets. So now it's up to my goddamn point guard to make sure he gets a touch right now. I feel the game's slipping. Feed. Not saying it's going to work, but feed. Does Joel have blame for what happened? We already talked about all this. Of course. But we're talking about James Harden right now. Joel beats the Sixer, right? We know that. They're not that stupid where they're going to trade that and then they ain't selling tickets no more. You don't trade the MVP, even though if the right offer came across my desk, I consider. But that has to equal a top 3 pick in this year's draft because then I know I'm getting one of those 3 guys. And I think all 3 are going to be good. I actually think Miller's going to be the best of all of them. I truly believe that. He's the best of all 3 picks. Win by Giannis. Not get the fuck off. Miller's better. You can just write that down somewhere. Write down. Tom said something funny that the Frenchie that eats pastries ain't going to be good as I'm not going to make that comment about Brandon Miller because what happened's terrible. But at the end of the day, there ain't no charges coming against him, and he's going to be able to play. And I believe he can really play. That being said, they're not trading the MVP of the league. So he's back. But let's see what James Harden does here because our hands are tied. And the other news is Frank Vogel interviewed. Got no time for that. But I'm interested to see because they got to do it soon on who their coach is going to be. So, guys, give me your thoughts on what you think James does. And do you believe this? Like, do you believe this report? Do you want him back? Like, what do you think he's going to do? And I want him back for the right price. Right? And I would assume that's a clean sweep or no?
James is out and I'm out. Guys, have a good night.
Have a great night, brother. Love you, Dad.
See you though.
Go to bed again.
Have a good one, buddy.
Night.
Ralphie beat
So, night. I got to get up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, give Daddy a kiss. Get out of here. Yeah. Oh, hey. So what do you like? I want him back for the. I'll take him back. I'm not gonna say I want him back. I'll take him back for the right price. What do you
Greg,
guys
you can
say?
go. I'll go last. I'll go last here.
And nobody cares, Ralph.
I know. I'll go. That's why I'll go last.
This is where you go make your bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, come on. Be professional one time. I mean, it's not shocking that I don't want the guy back for any price. Because you're absolutely right. You're spot on. Like you're not only a you're not only a point guard, you're a veteran point guard. You should understand the flow of a game in game 6 there, where you realize that your best guy hasn't touched the ball in 5 minutes. Right? You know what I mean? It's not like it's Tyrese Maxey, where those are the struggles of being a young point guard, right? Feeling the ebbs and flows of a game. No. You're James Harden. You should understand that, right? Especially when you're not doing it. It's one thing if you're cooking. You know what I mean? It's one thing if you're doing it, then okay, I can understand and see where maybe you feel that you're more of in a role than handing it off, right? But you were just as downright atrocious, as anybody in that point. I think he goes though. I don't think he really at this point, I don't think he cares about anything but money. And it's kind of shown, right? I mean, he's been up multiple times in series before, right? And he hasn't been able to close the deal. And again, not all on him, right? It's a team game, but he's always seems to find his place in those situations and just can't get it done. So I don't want the guy back for any price.
Yeah, I think your hatred comes in a little extra there.
No, 100%.
Daddy, I don't like the guy either. I don't like
100%.
the guy. I don't like the guy either, but he did lead the league in assists. Granted, he's dishing to the best player in the world at that time. Okay. But still, so good. You would say decent chemistry for them two in a full year together.
Sure.
I'm intrigued by what another full year could do for them. I'm intrigued.
That's fair.
Okay. For again, I'm not overpaying. Like that's how I look at it. Like
No, I hear you.
You want to win, I'll take you back. You know, if you want to go look for the bag, time's yours. We'll figure it the hell out with Joel, Maxey, and Tobias. Because I think it's better. You want me to be honest with you? I think that's better. I think you get more production. Maxey, Tobias love running. So those two are going to be allowed to run and move. Right? And you don't get that with him. So I think Tobias is a downhill player. If you allow Tobias to play downhill, Tobias can be impactful. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I don't care. I don't care about anybody's opinion. I don't give a fuck. When a guy's your fourth option, it's hard to get involved. Mm-hmm. Only guy who showed up in Game 7, though we're all people that hate him. He's the only motherfucker, and I'm going to keep using the F-bomb right now because I'm upset. All right? He's the only guy who showed up in Game 7. The only guy, but you know what I mean? I think it's contract. It's contract. They chose Tobias over Jimmy. No, they didn't.
Tobias Harris over me?
No, they didn't. Jimmy's wrong too. He's been wrong plenty. All right. And I love Jimmy. He's my dude, but he's been wrong plenty too. All right. So Jimmy, keep your mouth shut because you know that wasn't it. You know you wanted to go to Miami, first off, and you didn't like Ben. So let's just keep it all 100. It wasn't about Brett. It wasn't about Joel. It wasn't about Tobias. It's about you wanted less. You wanted pay less money in taxes, and you wanted to be the guy. And you knew you're going to a well-run organization, right, with great coaching and great leadership up top,
and a great front office.
Yeah, Pat Riley's the best, right? So you know where you're going. So I got no gripe with that. But don't lie. Don't say they chose Tobias over you. They chose Tobias after you walked. Yep. Damn it. They didn't sign Tobias before you walked.
Jimmy. They offered you the money. They offered you money too, bro.
Yeah. Let's keep it all 100. And I love Jimmy, but don't lie. All right, Crummer. Sorry. I go, Greg gets agenda filled, and then it starts firing me up, and here we are.
I would love Jalen Green.
Yeah, you were rolling there, Dad. No, I don't really see how this team improves if you don't bring him back. Now, obviously, that's goes without saying. No, I'm not maxing him out. I don't think anybody is maxing this man out. So I think he's going to be signable. Just going to depend on, does he want to go to Houston and hang out at all the strip clubs, or does he want to come here and try to win a championship? I think that's what it's going to ultimately come down to. And honestly, if he walks, your options are very limited. You know, I told you guys my dream scenario is, I don't know if it could ever actually happen, but you could find some way to do a sign and trade with Boston and bring in Jaylen Brown. I think he would be ideal to play with Joel Embiid.
Oh my God!
But him aside, I
Tom
don't
just went
really.
6 to midnight.
I've been thinking about this for a while.
Crumb? A while. I got called a moron. I got called an idiot. All I said was the dude's smooth like Kobe. I'm not calling him Kobe. I'm just telling you he's that's the closest thing we've seen in smoothness since. Like Tatum's a Kobe guy too. Like Kobe's one of the guys he mentored him in a way. Whatever. Look, right? Kyrie's another Kobe type guy that really was good friends with him. Okay, but Brown's game looks just like it. He's not Kobe. But he's also 25 fucking years old or 26.
Yeah.
He's still a damn baby.
And he closes games. And then that's huge. You need that. They need somebody on this roster who can close out games and has the balls to do it.
Yeah, and he's not their, and we know he's not their number one option either.
No, I mean it's Tatum, but he could be that guy. We've seen him be that guy and not shy away from being that guy. And I think in a scenario like here, where you change it up and he has the ball in his hands, I think you're looking at what it was like having Jimmy Butler in terms of those last possessions.
So let me ask you this: could you now the sign and trade with his Harden maybe doesn't get it done, right? But I hate saying this.
Tobias and Maxey, it's what it's going to cost you.
Oh, for him.
If you were going for Brown, that's what it would cost you.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
I mean, I'll say I love Maxey, but I've said this a million times before.
Yeah, I'm good.
The best window to win is the next 3 years with Embiid, not the 6 years after with Tyrese Maxey.
No, I'm all in for Jaylen Brown.
I'm all in right now. I would trade Maxey.
So does that having James?
Well, I think he might come back for the right price then.
I think he would come back for that. Yeah.
Now you have two superstars begging for the ball from the black hole.
Okay. I don't even need him. You understand? I'll run goddamn Jaden Springer at this point, right? Like I'll figure that out because guys are going to want to play with those two guys.
Well, that's the thing too. I don't feel like. All right.
Hold on, real quick. Do you get 3 maxes or 2? How many are you allowed?
Well,
2 or 3?
But I think an upcoming CBA is going to is only going to allow you to have
only
2.
allowed 2. This next CBA is only 2. They cut it down to 2.
Which is a year or 2 away, right, Ralphie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's next year. It kicks in next year.
This year coming up or the following year?
No, the following year.
So you could have okay, so at the end of the day, if you max both of them out.
But I think if you sign, the way I read it was if you sign before that CBA, it cancels us out, right? Because you did it before the new league.
Before the new league
on it.
Yep. You're right.
But that doesn't give you a third though, does it? No. So like if Brown's already max prior,
if he signs and trades,
because he made did he make the All NBA team, one of the All NBA teams?
I think he finished second or third.
Okay, so that means for this summer he's due for max contract, like a super max contract from Boston.
Correct. Yeah. So he could get that max deal on a sign and trade, and then because you have the rights to Harden, you can max out Harden as well. You could have 3 max guys. Now you have no money to do anything else, but honestly, at that point, I don't know if you need to do anything else.
No, I think that gets you closer. Even if Harden didn't come back, I think you're closer in a weird way. I really do believe in Tyrese Maxey. There's not many players that I'd be willing to trade him for, even though I understand what you're saying, Chrome.
Well, I would only trade him for certain guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's gotten better every year, so I don't think we have to wait till he's 26 for him to really be the guy we need him to be. That being said, for Jaylen Brown, I'll drive him there, and Tyrese is my guy. I will drive him to wherever in Boston you want to go. I'll drive you there. So that's not even an issue. I'd be all over that. I wonder why Boston does it. Maybe it opens up a max deal after Tobias contract's over. Then they get Tyrese Maxey, who's a young, energetic point guard that they can run, or a ball handling guard that they can run with Jason Tatum. They basically improve in terms of the longevity of being able to rebuild this team, because this team's going to need to get younger. It's getting old. Marcus Smart, they're going to need young guys like a Tyrese Maxey that can be the core going forward with Jason Tatum. A lot of that team's getting old. So, I mean, to me, it's a huge incentive. Plus, Tobias's money comes off the books. And with those 2 players, Boston is still an extremely competitive, probably top 2 or 3 Eastern Conference team. Yeah, they're really good still.
To me, it's a huge win-win for them. The only thing I worry is it's not the players, but they're going to want draft pick compensation, and we don't have it. We just don't have the capital for that.
No, but that's why you're giving them a young player,
right?
And an expiring deal.
In terms of the head coach, by the way, I don't want Nick Nurse. I don't want any of these. I like Monty Williams' name a little bit. I think he got kind of a raw deal out there in Phoenix. Other than that, I don't want Mike D'Antoni. Please, with the Mike D'Antoni. My guy is, I'm sure your guy, Ty Lue. If you could end up bringing him in, to me, that's the guy right there. But outside of him, I mean, Monty's the only real name that maybe moves the needle. I mean, I love Sam Cassell, but he worked under Doc. How much do things change? However, the way he worked with the guys like Maxey and their shooting and different, there's a lot to be desired there. So, I mean, that's probably my 3 names. If you go internal, I'm looking at Sam Cassell. Outside of that, I'm probably looking at Monty Williams and Ty Lue. I don't any of these other retreads. Yeah, I don't really want any retread. I mean, you can give me Ty Lue works for me. Monty Williams, I'm good on. I'll pass. Not because I don't think he's a good coach. I just, I'll just pass. Right, I'll just pass. I mean, he did go to a finals. I get it.
This is Jaylen Brown's last year on his contract before he's a free agent. So this is it. After this year, he's an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, well, he's expected to get an extension this year. So,
yeah, you do the sign and trade because you need to be able to fit the money under the cap, right? So you sign Harden to whatever it is, right? You extend Tobias or whatever, but you want him already signed because then you can fit it under the cap once he's already signed.
Yeah. I don't.
Also, real quick with Harden too, he's gonna have to go and play defense for Ime Udoka, and I don't know how that fit is gonna work in terms of his coaching style and his playing style. It's such a weird scenario to me. Like, Houston's young, and I know they have money, but to me, it's just burning money to burn money because it doesn't even really make sense for that team at this point. And the guy ran out of town. He forced his way out of town. I don't understand why that organization would bring him back. He's not a guy that's going to sell tickets at this point in his career, at least not by himself. It's just a really weird fit. I don't understand why the organization would do it to begin with, which is why I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with it. And I think he ends up ultimately coming back here.
Yeah, I think this is the guy I probably want, and that's Sam Cassell. I mean, I
love me some Sam.
I wanted him prior to it. I don't really want retreads. I want a new thought process. I don't believe his thought process is Doc's thought process. I really don't buy into that too often, right? I know people do, but I don't it's a different guy. Like, if I'm an assistant coach for a guy, on the baseball field, I don't agree with everything he does. I'm not going to agree with everything he does, and rightfully so. And I don't expect that guy to agree with everything I did, right? Because there's different thought processes. It's just men, right? And the way we look at the game. But he holds guys goddamn accountable. He's won as a player, and he brings you some youth to it too, in a way, right? In a way where it's not like a 6-year-old coach, right? It's a guy who's fresh. He'll be a fresh head coach. It'll be exciting for him. He'll bring that energy, and I believe that energy can wear off of my players, right? Because if I'm bringing a retread in, how much energy does that guy have, right? If I'm bringing in a guy who's younger than these guys, and we've seen how he talks to them, etc., but that fire and that energy, and that radiates off to my players, that's the guy I want, right? Because I believe that's how he'll be.
I love the fit too, right? Because he is a guy who's won championships, and one of the guys that he won championships with is one of the greatest centers of all time, Hakeem Olajuwon, who, oh, by the way, who is Joel Embiid's comparison over the years? Olajuwon with a better touch.
Yeah.
So I have a head coach who knows what that type of player, that style of player, how he works, and he won championships with him. Do I think he can improve on the work? And I have to credit Doc with this. I do think that he was a catalyst and a big piece of why Embiid improved over the last couple of years and got to an MVP level. You can't knock the results of being top 2 and then the MVP in his tenure, right? But man, Sam Cassell to me is that guy that takes him even to the next level over the next couple of years because he knows that style of player. He knows what he could be. And I think coaching the guys around him, because he's been one of those guys around to see what makes that successful and maximize that, the dude to me is the most ideal. And I agree with you, Tom. I think that's the knock is everybody says, well, he was on Doc's staff, so how much is going to change? That doesn't mean anything. Guys have different coaching styles. He can learn things from Doc, but guess what? He also learns from Doc and his failures as well.
Yeah, like coaching guys up. To your point, I truly just believe the energy, again, I keep saying, will radiate off to these players. Hakeem didn't win right away. That team didn't win right away. They sort of got Mike out and they won, right? Like, wasn't that when Mike was retired? I feel like they won when Mike was retired. So it was a couple freebie years open for the public, right? But credit to them, they took advantage of it. It was a really good team, really talented goddamn basketball team, if you look back on it. That being said, he's won. He hasn't got a chance to be a head coach yet. And the fact that he was in for the conversation 3+ years ago should tell you he should be in for the conversation now, right? I thought we were lucky to have him as an assistant and say, hey, this is a really good coaching staff. But the things Doc didn't do, I think he can do. And bigger than that, I'm an energy and effort guy all the time. And if I got a coach that's like that all the time, I feel like that's going to bring out it in my players. and these lulls, right? And now Doc was a point guard, but Doc is an old school point guard, really. His playing days was so long ago. Sam's is long ago, but it's not as removed, right? So I think it's fresher ideas. I think when I look at old school, new school, I talk to my hitters about this all the time, right? And I'll say this: when I was taught to hit, it was down to the baseball, up through a baseball. So in reality, I stay in the zone for here, right? I'm not in the zone hitting for a while. I'll get to my point of this, right? If I come from here instead of up here per se, and I come from here, I stay through it for a while, right? I stay through it for a while, okay? But I'm also not trying to hit underneath the baseball. So there's things that I'll take that I believe will help you become better, and there's things I'm going to leave out. Like there's certain things we're never going to do because I have that old school feel in me. But I'm willing to adapt and not be that old guy who isn't willing to take new things, right? And I think if you're willing to do that, you can coach any error and be damn good at it. It's the guys that get stuck or the guys who end up struggling, the guys who aren't willing to adapt. But I'll leave it with this. All the coaches I know, all the coaches I've watched, pros, younger, it doesn't matter. The guys who had this a little bit are the guys who are successful too, to a point, right? Not in just basketball, just in general. Like the guys who are pressures that have a little, not jerk off bravado, but you can just feel the energy. Guys at their practices where they're mic'd up and you can hear it. You can hear the energy at practice. That's where it really is, right? And I think he's a guy, from what we've watched, will have a ton of energy at practices, right? And I believe when you practice how you play, okay? I'm a firm believer of it. Probably don't believe in anything more than I believe in that. You practice how you play.
Yeah.
Okay, so if my practices are get after it, aggressive in basketball, the world, right? Up tempo. My coach got right. Is my team gonna get better? I'm gonna be on the I'm gonna be on the yes side. You can get away with missing an X and O at times too. You understand? If your team's always bringing it because they take on the personality of the coach, you can miss an X and O once in a while.
Yeah, you can slip up once in a while.
You can.
I think too, when you talk about what translates, right? We're talking about the new style of point guards, the old school, this and that. When you're like a true point guard does not change. It defies generations, right? Mm-hmm. You know how to facilitate running the offense through, whether it's one of your wings, who, if that's your big money guy, or through the center. You know how to run the offense from the point guard position through whoever else. And when I look at it again, and I look at Sam Cassell and the type of player that he was, how well respected of a player as he was, what a pesky little bastard he was, where for years, I hated the guy because he was just that good and he was that kind of guy. And you look at the teams that he was on, he just seems like the ideal fit, because whether he played 20 years ago or as coach for the last 5 years, he understands what it is to run the offense through the center, who is your guy. And the game doesn't evolve that much that his philosophies would be outdated. If anything, it's perfect for this time right now for a team like this, or a team like Milwaukee, or somebody like that who runs a lot through a big man.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, he's the guy I'm looking at, and there's certain guys I probably won't be mad about, but we'll see where it goes, right? This is going to be a really, really interesting couple weeks here leading up to who they hire. So, we'll keep getting into it. We're here for everybody's Sixers coverage. We're here for everybody's Eagles coverage. We're here for everybody's Phillies coverage. We're here for Flyers coverage whenever they want to be relevant. But we're here. So we'll see where they land with that. we'll see where it goes. If you haven't yet, hit the like and subscribe. And, we'll finish on our last little topic is the Eagles are Super Bowl favorites in May. How do we feel about that?
It's always like after the NCAA tournament, right? The way too early power rankings, right? And it's always Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, and the powerhouses. And then the season starts, and the season starts, and then Duke drops down to 10, and Kansas can't get ranked, and then Kentucky's like top, 20th, and it's just the early rankings. How I feel about it, I mean, obviously, you make it to the Super Bowl last year. Obviously, you had the respect there of having being the favorite again. Obviously, the draft that we had in April was fantastic. The first 2 picks that we had, and then we just kept on adding in the offseason as well. And then the whole situation with Jalen getting his money and stuff like that, and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith another year together. Obviously, Dallas Goedert, hopefully, is going to obviously start the year healthy again. So that offense should be rolling again. And, you add a couple more pieces to the offensive line. So I'm not a little shocked that we're favorites, but, it's always concerning when it's, 4 months out, 5 months out of the regular season when we're talking about Super Bowl favorites here in Philly. And because we all know how the movie ends, right? We all get piped up. We start drinking the Kool-Aid there in July when the OTA starts and preseason games come around and Sam Bradford slinging the ball and we can't find it. We can't find it. Oh man, we can't find it. Oh, and then the season happens and it's a train wreck. So we know this story. We've seen it before. So hopefully it's not a bad movie this time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything to get in terms of saying, okay, we're winning a Super Bowl and start beating that drum now. I think that's crazy. But kind of piggybacking off what you were saying, Ralph, right? It does show the respect that this team now has on a national scale. And then you look, I mean, you guys remember we were on the airs, right? On the airways with 2 days into free agency and the sky was falling, because TJ Edwards went and signed somewhere else.
Yeah, we weren't signing nobody. Everybody was sitting still.
It's
like, these guys are awake or what are we doing
guys,
here?
You know what I mean? We're losing everybody. We're not bringing anybody back. Yeah. And then, just to see what this team did in free agency in terms of, reacquiring their own talent and then adding on to that. And then to see what they did in the draft and now to be at a point where, okay, there is an expectation on this team because they are that good. They should be that good. And the quarterback, that the league in Vegas, who runs everything, believes in the quarterback, I think is encouraging. And that's why I look at it as a positive to see it. It's May. It's almost June, but are we going Super Bowl favorites yet? No, but do I feel good that nationally now people are recognizing how this organization has ran itself or has been run and the talent that is on this team? Absolutely. It's great.
Yeah, I'm not against it. Go ahead, Greg.
No, I just said as kind of Ralphie alluded to, there's only one way from here. It's down. When you start hearing that's just a pessimistic Philly, in you, right? But I mean, you're right, Crow. It's nice, you know what I mean? But I mean, I think the team is going to be fine, right? But to me, there are some legit concerns in just the fact that we have 2 brand new coordinators, right? And so, while it's cool to be there right now, we still have to see how. And I don't have any long-term concerns of these guys, but we still haven't seen them with even our guys yet, right? You know what I mean? So,
in-house though.
No, I agree with you, and has worked with Jalen before. So, right. I'm not super concerned, but when you come out in May with 2 brand new coordinators saying now you're the Super Bowl favorites, right? They're like, we can pass that. You can keep us down second, third for now, and then maybe after preseason, right? You know what I mean? But no, I mean, I think ultimately it's a reflection of a lot of our key pieces on offense coming back. And I think that's the catalyst to this, right? And then, of course, like you said, signing Jalen and making sure that he's back and he's surrounded by a lot of weapons and an offensive line that should continue to keep him upright.
Yeah, I think the defensive guys you brought back in Fletch, just starting with him, working my way out in terms of bringing Slay back, Bradbury back. You got BG here. Obviously Reddick. You have your mix of veterans, and then what kind of draft you just had, and you argued we got the best player in the draft. Would have been maybe the best player in 2022 if he was allowed to come out in Jalen Carter. So I mean, you stole there, and his counterpart isn't too shabby either. So you had a tremendous draft. I think that adds on to it. I think what Chrome says, it's a reflection of how well this organization has ran and runs over the last 20 years. Okay, they've done a really good job of being relevant, right? And they have a Super Bowl to show for it finally. So that monkey's off. The organization's back, and they've made significant changes over the last 5 years in the way they go about their business, in the way they draft, in what they look at, and not trying to outsmart the draft room and going and get. I'll continue to say it. I don't care what anybody says. They just go and get leaders. They go and get leaders from the blue bloods per se,
and winners,
right? I mean, the blue bloods of college football. They go get their team captains, etc. And if it ain't from a blue blood, it's from Illinois, right? Like, then they'll go get a captain from there. So they are really building a culture over and over and over again, and it's refreshing. Mm-hmm. It's fun to watch because you're not just getting culture guys. You're getting damn good football players too. And when you have a mix of that, that's a problem. All right. When you have how many guys on your roster from arguably the best college defense I've ever seen? I can understand why Vegas would say, people better, I mean, Nolan Smith is a carbon copy of Hassan Reddick. I mean, Nakobe Dean is a stud just waiting to say hello to the NFL. And he's got his boys up in front of him. Like, literally, he's got his two guys that made his life easier up in front of him. I don't even give a shit who's playing the other two linebacker spots. I don't even care. I got a real safety. I actually drafted a real safety, in my opinion, that might not play year one, but has a real good chance to because of what's in front of him, the veterans in front of him. That's what allows all this to happen. When you got two veterans on the outside, you got two veterans on the outside of your D-line, right? Josh Sweat's even a veteran at this point, okay? You got a veteran who's going to probably be a Hall of Famer and Fletcher Cox right in the middle. You know what I mean? Right in the middle. And I don't know the Hall of Fame where you need to get to, but guy's a damn good football player for a long, long time, right? Right in the middle. He's a leader. So you're mixing the youth with leaders too. So not only are you going and getting young leaders who can play, you're mixing them with older leaders who can play. I don't know how you don't goddamn win games. I think this team's going to be very good.
To tie on to that too, Tommy, like from a fan standpoint, when you go get these leaders and you go get these guys that have won, it makes it easy to root for the guys too, right? Mm-hmm. How many times have we had good teams, but like you've hated people on the team? Like, I just hate you because I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so you go get these leaders because now their teammates obviously like them, right? Their teammates obviously play for them, and then you bring them on your team. And so even from a fan standpoint, forget the X's and O's. It makes it easy and fun to root for the guys because you know of what they've done and what they're a part of.
Yeah, I want to play you guys, what James Palmer said on the Rob Ellis show. I mean, you can find it on all our socials, but I want to play this quick clip for everybody out there on Jalen Carter and the time that James Palmer got to spend with him. So I'll play this real quick for everybody.
Really good at drafting guys where there's already an established player there.
Hold on.
Cam Jurgens is a perfect example of that. I think Jordan Davis was a good example of that. Now, how well?
What does this do this for? Why can't anything in life just be easy and simple?
I do think the Eagles.
Why does everything have to be hard? You know what I mean? Like, just like Instagram is the weirdest platform just playing a freaking video.
I do think
why is that mute?
Where there's already an established player there. I think Cam Jurgens is a perfect example of that. I think Jordan Davis was a good example of that. Now, how well did those guys, those vets that are all pros, Pro Bowlers, how well do they rub off and do? And it's not entirely their job to do that, but also does the younger guy listen? Jalen told me he knows. I thought he had the perfect answer. I'll finish with this. when I asked him, I told him, I said, listen, there are enough people in this league I talked to that they were never going to draft you. And this had nothing to do with your on the field play. This had everything to do with everything that you know that they're questioning.
Yep.
Do you feel like you have something to prove to the NFL? And he immediately said, I don't have anything to prove to anybody other than the Eagles. Because
Wow.
they're the ones that are going to see me each and every day. Those coaches are going to see me every day, and that's who I need to prove something to. I thought that was the best way to answer that question, because you could have a chip on your shoulder and say, I want to prove it to the Falcons and the Seahawks and all these teams that are ahead of you, ahead of the Eagles that didn't pick you, that you have something to prove to them. And he was like, no, I need to prove it to the guys that actually picked me. And I do think that's a mature answer. Now we just got to see if he can go out and do it. I do think the Eagles are really
so
good.
I mean, you heard it, and it's great to have that content on A2D, right? And it's fun to be able to, post that kind of stuff. And James Palmer was on the Rob Ellis show that you can catch every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. on A2D radio. So hit the like, subscribe, follow, and all that. But it's a great answer. Like he said, it's just, and he talked about having like the leaders and veterans already in place here, and then you draft like replacements, etc. And just like the way that they've done that. I mean, listen.
Put it this way, Tom,
yeah.
to your point, right? That structure has been in place for years when you have the Kelseys and the Lane Johnsons, right? We go back to when Michael Bennett was here, right? After the fact, you found out, there's stuff that went in the locker room, but those guys made sure that, it came out after the fact, but that stuff stayed in the locker room during the season. It wasn't a culture where guys were running to the media, and we had seen that before with guys, going, being mystery sources and everything else. But they put the kibosh on that and really built a culture here to where Jalen Carter and guys who have had these, character concerns can come in, and you can feel comfortable about dropping them into this environment with this kind of veteran leadership.
Yeah, for sure. All right, boys. Well, great show.
Great show.
Going on
Phillies.
12:30. We'll have plenty of time to talk Eagles as the upcoming weeks come and months, etc. Go Phils, big series.
Yep.
Start playing great baseball for us. So we have a lot to talk about coming up into the summer months. We're begging for it. Right? Love a good 18 out of 20. You know what I mean? Love a good 18 out of 20 from our Phils. Don, I love you. I'll answer the Eagles questions as it goes on, Don. You know my truths. Okay? You know them. We are brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. Go book your getaway today. PhillySportsTrips.com. Tell them A2D sent you. Great show, boys. For Ralph Del Vecchio, Noah Eaton, who was here, then asleep, then went back to his sleep. Chrome, Greg Milakovic. I'm Tom Arnone. I'm tired. These guys are tired. We love you. James Harden's legs are tired. We're out of here.